Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, my name's Diachronic Heroes. Here on this Monster Hunter Worlds video, we're going to be counting down the top 5 dual blades in the game. Now, these are mostly based on my own personal opinion of what I've tried out. I tried this out on many different people's accounts. I do not own all of these on my personal account, but I have tried them all out, and hopefully I can provide you with a decent gameplay. I would also like to mention that I totally lost all that gameplay. Somehow my files got corrupted, and I don't want to ask these people for their accounts again. I mean, they were so nice to let me have it the first time. I would really feel bad, but overall I feel like I get a good sense about these weapons, as well as I've done a lot of research on the internet. Now, these are not all gonna just be whichever one does the most damage. A lot of these will be useful in different circumstances and not just specifically for different monsters. Some of them will be really good for elder dragons, some will be really good for regular folk, some will just be good in general for farming. And I wanted to compile a list of the different ones and the reasons why you want to use the different ones. So coming in at number 5 in this top 5 dual blades is going to be the Arcarnia 3, which is the Kulu-Yaku dual blades. They look like 2 axes, which really looks dope. Overall, I don't really like the look of these weapons, which is why I never went towards them. On top of that, it's a rarity 6 weapon, so you probably didn't even give this a second look. However, I would recommend you take a look again because these are actually a pretty good set of weapons. Firstly, it has a very high affinity, a 27% affinity. You can really lay into the target, and 3 augmentation slots, you can get your affinity up to 80% easily. There is no gem slot, however. I'd never really found a point to having that many gem slots when you're using the armor that I usually use, which is the Kieran armor, which has tons and tons of gem slots. So the main reason that makes this weapon so very nice is not the fact that it has a high affinity, however that is very nice, is the fact that it has sleep on it. Now, almost every single sleep weapon in the game is useful for this same idea. However, the dual blades, because they attack so fast, they have more opportunity and more of a chance of inflicting sleep more times. And the reason this is useful is not just so that the monster will go sleepy weepy right in the middle of the fight, however that is nice, is the fact that so many monsters have big old horns on their face like the Diablos or the Nergigante or somebody with claws that you really want to break off a certain part of their body to get certain materials, but you are just absolutely struggling to try to hit them with the hammer. It just starts to become really difficult. If you've ever had something like that happen to you, I recommend you pick these up for this specific strategy. All you need to do is you keep hitting the monster until he falls asleep. Once that monster does fall asleep, then you pull out some exploding barrels and you place it right next to the thing you want. So for example, the Diablos not giving me my majestic horns, just place it right in front of his face and of course light it up, explode it. He'll wake up, he'll take a bunch of damage and almost guarantee you getting that part broken and a chance of getting it. Coming in at number 4 in this list is going to be the Basil Hawk Rookslayer. First of all, dope name. Second of all, dope looking weapon. Have you seen these things? Dual bladed, dual wielding battle axes with an exploding orange center. Looks awesome. Highly recommend you check it out. Rarity 8 weapon. This weapon has 1 jewel, 1 augmentation, and negative 10% affinity, and has blast damage. Now obviously you can get rid of this negative 10% affinity very easily with that jewel slot. You can just get some expert jewels in there and it should be able to pretty much negate that. Now what makes this weapon so nice is firstly it has a higher amount of damage when compared to a lot of the dual blades around it. And secondly, it has blast damage, which allows you to apply blast blight on the monster. Now, if you've never used a blast weapon before like me until like a few days ago, you'll have to learn that blast blight does a lot of damage. You just keep hitting that monster and every once in a while you'll see like 150 just explode right from their body. They'll get kind of stumbled back and it will do a ton of damage. It's so fun to use. It's so nice, and I personally had not used a lot of Basiljuice weapons in the past, so I had a ton of Basiljuice materials just laying around. And lastly, I'd like to mention you can do some fun stuff with handicraft. I believe you can get this thing up to white sharpness. Coming in at number 3 in this top 5 dual blades is going to be the Xenorax, which is going to be, spoilers, the last monster's weapon in the game. It's the Xenojiva blades. Now these are one of the most popular weapons. A lot of people talk about this. It's actually relatively easy to get because you only need to get like 3 purchases to get up to this rank, because you can just go straight through the black steel tree. And what makes this weapon so amazing is it has 2 level 3 gem slots. On top of that, it has 15% affinity, a white sharpness, and below average amount of attack. And finally, it has dragon damage with an Elder Seal, making it very nice for Elder Dragons. A lot of Elder Dragons take a lot of dragon damage, on top of the fact that Elder Seal in general just seals their Elder Dragon attacks. To be honest, there's really not much more to say about this weapon. You can really do a lot with it. There's, again, 2 level 3 slots. You can use brace on it, you can use earplugs, you can use a different assortment of things things. Overall, it looks pretty good. There's really nothing bad about this weapon. It is just useful in a ton of scenarios. You just have to customize it exactly how you want it. Coming in at number 2 in the top 5 dual blades is gonna be the Decimation Claws. This is gonna be the Nergigante Claws, and dude, they look dope. I hate to break out of character, but they look amazing. It's literally 2 giant claws on your hands, and it looks awesome. They're huge. They're just like Nergigante's hands, and they're just so much fun to use. So what makes these weapons so great? Firstly, it has a lot of damage. At 294, it's one of the highest damages. Obviously, you know, 294 is what I have on right now, but it's one of the above average, I think maybe the second most base damage in the game. It has a 0% affinity, which is really nice, so you don't have a negative downside, whereas a lot of them, like the Diablo's clubs, have a big downside, or for example, like the Devil Joe, they have a big downside for their affinity. This one has a 0 affinity, even though it has high damage. It's got a very good amount of Elder Seal, very good for Elder Dragons. It has a high Elder Seal as well as it does dragon damage, so Nergigante just gets absolutely wrecked by this. And finally, it has 1 gem slot. If you guys have not already just bum rushed your way all the way up this tree towards this thing to get this weapon, I highly recommend you do it. It's not a huge cost. I mean, it is like 7 or 8 weapons down the line, but it is through the ore tree. And if you've been mining things like mad, like I have, you can pretty much get most of the way there. Then you're gonna have to farm Nergigante to get the rest of it. But overall, it is an amazing weapon and definitely worth the grind. Now, I know what you're thinking, why isn't Decimation Claws at number 1? That's because I absolutely fell in love with number 1, and I absolutely recommend you try it. A lot of people kind of go back and forth with this weapon, but me personally, I absolutely love the Fire and Ice Dual Blade. If you've never seen this weapon, it does both ice and blast damage. So not only can you get that amazing blast damage that I had a hard on with the Basil Hawk earlier, you can also get ice damage, which is really nice for the Diablos if you're having trouble killing that thing really quickly, or anything else that's very affected by ice. On top of that, it has an averaging amount of damage as well as a 10% affinity. You can boost that affinity a little bit more. You'll probably be rocking around 50% affinity without that much hassle. And lastly, it has a level 2 gem slot if you'd like it, which is always nice to have on the side. And finally, what makes this weapon very, very nice is the fact that you can handicraft it to a white sharpness. If you use polish on it, it will make it stay white for a very long time, making the damage output almost about the same as the Decimation Claws. And on top of that, you also have the Blast Blight, which does an incredible extra amount of damage to the monsters that you hit. But anyways, that's going to be the video for you guys today. Hope you guys did. Let me know in the comments down below what other weapons you'd like me to check out. I would say honorable mention to the Diablo's clubs. Those are really, really nice because the fact that they have a low amount of elemental and they have a very high base damage makes it so they're useful for pretty much anything. But overall, the fact that you have to go through Diablos and get those majestic horns is just... it tears me apart, man. Even with the Arcania, I can't. I can't. It's such a... It's not good enough to make me go mad again. And if you did like the video, make sure you leave a like down below so other people can find this and they can know what kind of weapons are big and happening before they go out and spend a bunch of materials on something they don't want to use. And of course, I've been your host, Diachronic, and I'll see you guys on the next one.